All right, morning, folks. To the folks on YouTube, are you all seeing me? Because I'm not seeing them. Just let me know if you're seeing me on YouTube, please. Or if you're even hearing me for that matter. Oh, okay. I do understand. I'm not seeing me, so I guess I'll have to sort that out. It's telling me that I don't have access to my camera. I don't know what's going on with YouTube this morning. So, all right, we'll see how that goes. I'll have to sort that out after. Nice. Yeah, I just turned off my. Okay, Arlene is saying the seeing and hearing. All right, so I don't know. On my end, I'll have to check that because yeah. One day I decided to take my laptop with me and on problems. Anyhow, morning, folks. Morning to all you guys. Apologies for the late start, but YouTube, as I said, has been giving me some problems this morning. I don't normally I don't normally, this laptop doesn't normally leave the house, but I had to use it yesterday and now I don't know what's going on. But anyway, morning Roxanne, Pauline, morning Rukmin, morning Angela, Madhu, morning Oriagani, morning to you, Carol Boyce, Aline Lewis, morning Lisa Atwater, Althea, morning Denise Bramble, Lynette Harris, morning J Dimple 66, morning to you, Cyril Mayas, Ria Ed, Kenneth Gabriel, Macaroni Tony, morning guys. Deborah Durante, morning Deborah, Glenn Richardson, morning Sir, Kathy Belfon, Lister Sydney, morning Gail Jack, Christopher Sylvester, morning to all of you guys. Neil Francois is present, morning Sir, Patricia McKenzie, Trevor Carter Nelson, let me see who I have on Facebook. Morning Diane, Maria Lyons, morning Maria, morning Allison. School is out, Allison says school is out so she can catch me for John Edwards, morning. Deborah Durante, Debbie McKnight, Elizabeth Allen, morning. Adriana Alexis, morning. Adriana, Patsy Edwards, morning. Morning, Carol. What's the weather like on your side? Joy Ragunanan, morning. Joy Agnes Mondesir, morning. Patsy Edwards, morning. Brian Deming, Carlos Fonili. Hey, Carlos, morning. Christopher Serret, Monica Borrell, Angela Carty, morning. Leno Ayers, Jacqueline Sebro, Ashlyn Robertson, Judy Small, morning to all of you guys. There's no camera, kind of distracting, but anyway, you all see me. That's great. Yeah, so it is 6:47 on this, the 26th day of March. How time flies, 2024 need to hold up a little bit. For those of us who would have had first quarter goals, if you didn't achieve it as yet, well, pressure. You're behind, so you had to make up in Q2. I certainly need to do that. But anyhow, right. So the saga continues. With respect to the politics in Trinidad and Tobago, never a dull moment in sweet TNT, and you can always depend on the United National Congress to keep you entertained. Can't even run their own party, but want to run the country. I know a few years ago, Kurt Allen sang a song, Too Bright. Them fellas, they bright, but they now run the country right. And last night I was listening to the debate in the Senate on the property tax amendment bill. And that song came to mind because I'm listening to some of the persons who, I'm not necessarily opposed to the government, but I'm listening to some of the independent senators and their contributions. The UNC, well, we know what they're about. Their contributions are a waste of time, is only to attack the government and attack the government. I see Lida came back because I think Arnold Roberts is in the Bahamas with the national swim team. Why they still allowing this man to be exposed to the national swim team, notwithstanding the nastiness that he spews on social media, is beyond me. But they figure that making sense to expose young minds to that kind of filth. All right, no problem. Go ahead. As I say, them fellas too bright, right? And I listen to some of the independent senators, and they really too bright. Some of them for their own good. Somebody, listening to some of these guys, I'm not gonna call them by name, but listening to some of these contributions, it's no wonder we are not where we should be from a developmental perspective. Because these guys are, according to Kamuna, men and women of letters who have their bachelors and their masters and this and that. And we feel that because they have these academic qualifications that they know they have the answers to everything. But listening to some of the rationale for why the property tax shouldn't be implemented at this time and all of the things that the minister should consider and the things the government need to relook and all of that. If the government go to take their advice, nothing would get done in this country. It was the same thing with the rapid rail. They want to give you a million and 10 reasons the cost and this and that and when all kind of thing. What happened to the rapid rail? Scrapped. Same thing with the smelter. All kind of studies they want to do and check this and do that and whatnot and feasibility study and we need to do an environmental study and all of these things. End result, smelter going through. We're talking about diversification. Well, I see Ralph Maraj, like he find himself again, and I read his Sunday article, lambasting the government again about they didn't even try to diversify the economy and where the country's foreign reserves is. And no. I don't know if Ralph Maraj figured that that the solution to the country's economic issues is foreign direct investment. So you write a whole diatribe about not enough foreign direct investment and no new income streams and all of that. I have to ask myself, which rock Ralph Maraj living under? You see, I always say if you want to criticize the problem, no problem. No, you want to criticize the government, no problem, but do it from a platform of truth now. Do it from a platform of truth. When there is evidence all around that this administration has done far more than its predecessor with respect to diversifying the economy, boosting entrepreneurship and business in the country, and this clown that is Ralph Maraj, it sometimes sickens me to even to read what this man writes and to listen to the foolishness that he is talking on I-95. Thank God it's just once a week he is there. And even that to my mind is too much. You should have him once a month. Once a week, he not making no sense. And to read that trash that he wrote, and you have people who supported that foolishness. But tell you. And the issue of the property tax, and again it came up, that was the topic for debate last night. And I don't know now. I really don't know. You would swear that this is a whole new concept, that we never had property tax, that we didn't have property tax in this country since 1920 or possibly before, right? And this, you're listening to these guys and the valuation and the process and how do you value the properties. How the hell did they value the properties 104 years ago? What was the methodology that they used? I read for you all directly from the Act, the 1920 Act, which spoke about annual rental value. But I agree that there appears to be some level of discrepancy with respect to how the state's valuators are arriving at the valuations of people's properties. That you could have two people living in the same neighborhood. One person's home value, they'll tell you that this person could get $5,000 a month rent, and right next door, the neighbor, they'll probably tell you $3,000 a month, as the case may be. Or some people will argue the condition of your home. Because if somebody looking for a place to rent, they're looking for the most decent place. They're looking for a place that stands out, that offers them some level, well, the most level of comfort. But if it have a little extra bling also, so it is possible you could be living here and your house well kept, your yard well manicured and so on. You upgraded the interior and the exterior of your home and your neighbor just worthless and the house run down and it could use some work. Obviously, if both of you were to put your homes up for rent, one person would be able to fetch a higher rent than the other. But there ought to be some, at least a scale, because we're considering neighborhood too, right? But I'm still, How did they do it for the entire from 1920 come forward? What was the process that was used? For me, based on my understanding, is the only thing that has really changed is the rate that persons are required to pay, because under the old land and building taxes, the rate was 7.5%. Now it's 2%. But because, again, the propaganda, and Paul Richards alluded to it last night, that there's a lot of misinformation. He didn't identify who's spreading the misinformation, but if you read between the lines, you would understand. He's an independent senator, and therefore he has to tread carefully on what he says. But there's been a lot of misinformation put out in the public domain by the opposition with respect to this property tax. And it's to hear all of them falling and tripping over themselves, trying to defend the indefensible. That more that you push it in their face, but look, all you say all against property tax. You came into government in 2010, riding the back of Axe the tax. And then in 2014, 2013, you had your Minister of Finance, $11 million man, announcing the budget that you all plan to bring back property tax. And when challenged on it, your excuse was, well, yeah, we're bringing it back, but not in the form that the PNM want to. We're not implementing property tax in the same way that this wicked and evil PNM government want to do. The only difference, and how I admit it, you had to update the tax rule. You had to update the valuations, because we can't have people continue to pay property tax or land and building tax, as some people prefer to call it, on valuations from 1920. The Act speaks to, if your property is valued at less than $24, you're paying 96 cents in property tax. But if it is valued at more than $24, you would pay 7.5% on the assessed value. 7.5% on the assessed value if your property is worth more than $24. When was the last time we hear about property valued at $24 in this country? None of us here alive today could ever recall a time when property was that $24 or less. So it speaks to there needs to be an update. But you have people say, nah, keep it so. We want to continue to pay the old rates. That making sense to you, right? Well, then when you decide to sell your property, and you say you call $1.5 million, the person's supposed to come and say, no, what is the rate on which you're paying land and building tax? That is what I want to pay for your property. Since you don't want the state to upgrade the value of your property, well, then sell it to me for the rate at which you're paying tax. Because otherwise you're robbing the state. So if you're saying that you paying property tax on this piece of land that your grandparents had owned and it was valued at $1,000, then sell it to me. I want to pay $1,000, because that is the valuation that you say the state should accept, not the $1.5 million or the $2 million that you want to sell it for. Some of these people just utterly ridiculous. And the very same thing, the upgrade in the value of the properties, is what the UNC would have had to do, the People's Partnership would have had to do, in order for them to implement whatever tax they wanted to bring, in whatever form. But it's to listen to Lida last night, all of them, these people should be ashamed and embarrassed. The fact that the only defense you all could come with, right, with respect to how I said, is to be quoting from newspaper articles, and quote how I say this in a newspaper article, and quote how I said and how I said that in a newspaper article. You all should be able to go and pull Hansard in the parliament to show where, after how I made this statement in the 2013 budget, the then Prime Minister, in her contribution to the budget, got up and said, this is not government policy, and there is going to be no property tax. But you can't do that, because she would have stood up and spoke for 45 minutes, or however long she spoke in that debate, and made no mention that this is not government policy. And contrary to what you heard the minister mention in the budget, there, no, we're not going to implement a property tax. But she didn't do that. Neither did any of the 20-something other members of parliament on the government side who would have contributed to the 2013-2014 budget. And not one of them said in their contribution, this is not government policy. We are not going to implement a property tax. You all should be ashamed that you can't do that. That you have to go now and pull up old Guardian article and Express article to quote something how I said after he would have been making the rounds at these various post-budget conferences and breakfast meetings to expatiate and to elucidate a little bit more on the budget. And during the course of this, probably get a call because you would have caught your business friends and financiers off guard when they hear that. And they pick up the phone and call Kamala and say, what madness is this? I thought all you say no property tax. What stupidness is that? Boy, wait is why you just say, Miss Lady, fix yourself, eh? Or get all your act together. It ain't have no property tax. We telling all you that. So whatever all you plan, forget that. And she had to pick up the phone and call Larry. Well, we can't do that again, because we get a call or we get calls from the financiers and they say, they're not having that. Especially since you want to implement the commercial or the industrial property tax first. So it affects a hit in their pocket. They don't want that. So forget that, because in the article that Prasad Bisesa quoted from to show that how I said that he had changed his mind or something to that effect. He said after consultation with the business community, they have decided that now is not the right time. He didn't consult with the poor people, the average citizen who they claim to be representing now and so concerned about. He didn't say that is who he consulted. After consultation with the business community, they made that decision. But it's okay about the poor. And Rowley want to make the rich richer. But the rich call them and tell them, hey, forget that. Because if only implement that tax you talk about there, it affected our pocket. It affecting our ability to buy yacht number 3 and yacht number 4, or our ability to be able to buy Range Rover number 3 or Range Rover number 4. Right? I planning to build a mansion in so and so, and I'll buy a piece of land down in La Romaine or in Gulfview, or I'll buy a piece of land in Maraval, in Mocha, and I'm going and put up a mansion there. Right? This property tax talk while you're talking, forget that stupidness. And that was the end of that. That was the end of that. So when they want to tell you that Rowley in the back pocket of the 1%, and is the business community controlling Rowley, who really controlled by the business community? This administration continues to use the taxpayers' money to construct state-owned buildings to house government ministries, state departments, so that we wouldn't have to be paying rent to the same business community in whose pocket they tell you Rowley in. You know how much 1% bank account suffering because this administration decided to do what the People's Partnership didn't do, which was to outfit government campus. Access and Nicholas, the city and tech now move out of Nicholas Towers on Independence Square there, right? So that is one less tenant, one less government tenant that Issa Nicholas has. After years of customs operating out of his building at the bottom of Independence Square and Abercrombie Street, no more. For the last 7 years, 8 years, no rent collecting there because customs has their own building that was sitting there unoccupied for 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. Feel the UNC couldn't do that? You think Kamala couldn't do that? But they want to talk about development. I'm going to play Jayanti Lakshmi for just now to hear her nonsensical arguments. I can't believe this woman is an attorney at law. And the foolish arguments that she comes with. Miss, if you deny these men bail, we'll be creating single parent homes. Jayanti Lakshmi's logic defies logic. And she feels she's so bright, When you're listening to her and her whole posture and body language, she figured, oh yeah, look. So, but every time she makes a contribution in the Senate, it's always an audition. It's always a showpiece for Kamala Prasad Bisesa. Look at me, leader. Look. I could be a gutter rat. Look at me. Listen. Right? All of them singing for their supper so they could stay in the Senate. So the 12 MPs who have come out in support of Prasad Bisesa, it's not about country. They're not concerned about that. They're just concerned about their political life because for some reason they believe that they're going to get into office in 2025 and everybody looking to be minister. So they could see how much more they could thief. Right? Because if you could run crookedness in opposition, that could now have you before the court on $1 million bail. Far less. Anyway, a bunch of jokers presenting themselves. Anyway, look at this here. So, Let's see, where did I save this? So I know I saved this somewhere. Yes, there was a short video clip I wanted to play where I saw in, I believe it's in St. Lucia, where citizens have been limited to 1 bag of sugar. So when you go to the grocery, you can only purchase 1 pack of sugar. Yes, here it is. So I'm going to turn off this thing. In the words of Cuban boy, plenty problem, boy, plenty problem. Well, he has his own problems. I don't know if they deport him yet. But if they haven't, well, we'll leave that there. Yeah, he created his own problems. Surprised you haven't seen coming to his aid as yet. You see, Annie Roberts did a doubles and coffee or Douglas politics live to chastise the government for, as you say, for deporting Cuban boy because he dared to speak out against the government.
They have a in St. Lucia. Attention, 1 bag of sugar per customer. Emma exult. 1 bag of sugar per customer exult. 1 bag of sugar per customer. I'm sick of this place. They have a in St. Lucia. Attention, 1 bag of sugar per customer. Emma exult. 1 bag of sugar per customer exult. 1 bag of sugar per customer. I'm sick of this place.
1 bag of sugar per customer. That's not Trinidad. That's not Trinidad. Right? You could go to the grocery and pick up as many bags of sugar as you want in Trinidad. You give yourself and your whole family diabetes. But in St. Lucia, they have that problem. Right? But when you listen to certain people in this country, you'd swear. Trinidad and Tobago is the worst place to live in the whole world. There's only pressure and problems, but plenty problems. Plenty problems in Trinidad. And across there, 1 bag of sugar per customer. You know what she says? She's sick and fed up of this place. All right. Let's thought I would throw that in the mix there. So yesterday, Anita Haynes decided to yeah. Let's see. So here. Right. So Ms. Haynes decided she too is calling for internal elections, but all of them had to put in the caveat. Well, I'm not criticizing the leader of the opposition, but we're just calling for internal elections. Let's see if I find this here.
Using my voice for good, positive changes in my own institution, because that is the way I see us developing Trinidad and Tobago. And wherever you're planted, wherever your seed is planted, and wherever you have a chance to make a difference and to use your voice to make a difference, you ought to take up that responsibility, and you have to take up that responsibility bravely. Do I know if there are big consequences? I can't say that for sure, but I'm willing and very prepared to accept any consequences of my decision to speak up, because there is no point in taking a position as an advocate to then be silent.
Understood. Any closing remarks? Anything you want to mention before we wrap things up officially this morning?
Yeah, I would just like to say, speaking to the members of the United National Congress, those persons who would have taken membership forms, come to my office to get membership forms, and you believe in the vehicle of the United National Congress. Anyone that is trying to tell you that our internal processes will bar us from winning a general election is saying that we are not resilient, that we are not strong. And I disregard that completely and wholly. The United National Congress has put on a good showing as an opposition, and we ought to prepare ourselves very strongly for governing this country and taking our country forward. So I look forward to participating in the democratic process internally and externally as we face a general election in 2025.
Right. So that's Marsha there, right? Marsha, no, let me Marsha. Anita Haynes Ali, the member of parliament for Tobago. What is of concern to me? Well, not really a concern because we all know that already existed. What person should take note of is the fact that she says she doesn't know if there will be consequences, but she's prepared for any consequences that may come. Why should there be consequences if it is that you speak about democracy in your party and the holding of internal elections? Why should there be consequences? Especially coming from the UNC, the party that accuses the PNM of being a cult, the party that accuses Keith Rowley of being a dictator. And if Rowley say the sky is purple, even though PNM supporters see it blue, they will say that it is purple. You see, in the People's National Movement, you're free to speak your mind. There is no vindictiveness, as I mentioned on Sunday. Penny Beckles challenged Dr. Rowley for leadership of the PNM. Today she's a minister. Today she's a minister. But in the UNC, you know what the outcome is. Penny never passed close to the political cemetery. As a matter of fact, she probably don't even know where that is. But plenty of them, the majority of the tenants in the political cemetery come from the UNC. And as we speak, right, the undertakers, they're looking for plots to take in more tenants. Right? So Rushton Parry, we know. Victor Roberts, Henry Awang, Rai Ragbir, Dinesh Rambali, possibly Anita Haynes. As she said, she doesn't know if there's going to be consequences. What does that tell you? That you have a leader. Once you speak against her, or it is perceived that you've spoken against her, your goose cooked. And this is the person who wants to be prime minister of this country. Oranges for oranges, apples for apples. Compare the actions of Kamala Persad-Bissessar in the running of her party as opposed to Keith Rowley in the running of his party. So I see Gary now in a poor and pathetic attempt to make Dr. Rowley out to be this dictator. That meeting that they had in the PNM had in San Juan a couple months ago, where you had a man who was paid by the UNC to come and disrupt the meeting, and he was standing at the side of the stage. And as Dr. Rowley took to the stage to speak, took to the podium to speak, he had to upbraid the man, tell him, if you were my MP, you would not behave like that, you would not be something so. And my understanding is that the guy was saying he's an MP, whatever it is. But there is sidebar footage, I think from Juliet and Mr. Aruka, showing where the guy was heckling Mr. Hines while he was on stage, and when Dr. Rowley came on and so on. And Dr. Rowley pointed to him, and they're trying to make it out as if Dr. Rowley was speaking to one of his MPs who may have been on the stage or whatever it is, but we know that has been debunked. But they're so desperate and so dishonest that trying to defend the indefensible, which is that Kamala Persad-Bissessar is the queen of dictatorship, right? She has full control over the UNC. Anytime you try to oppose her or you engage in any activity that she deems to be a challenge to her leadership, that's it for you. You're a knife and fork Indian. You're an elitist Indian. Country before party, go to hell. All of these different things, right? So all of them keep saying the elections will be called based on the party's constitution. So the party constitution say, well, if in an election year, a general election year, I don't know, I'm assuming, right? That because that is what I keep getting from most of them. That if you have internal elections in what is supposed to be a general election year, that you would postpone the internal elections because you don't want to change leadership midstream. As if they have an internal election that Persad-Bissessar is going to change, that they're going to change Persad-Bissessar. Please. All your rubbish and foolishness. And then I listened to Ralph Maraj yesterday talking about, based on Dr. Rowley's pronouncements recently, there's a possibility there may be an early general election. And therefore, you don't want to be caught on the back foot that you are in the throes of an internal election and then the Prime Minister calls a general election. What does that say about the readiness of your party? Dr. Rowley ain't call no early internal election, no early general election. Mr. Manning tried that twice and it didn't work. Right? It did not work. And when it is calls were made for Prasad Bisasa when she was Prime Minister to call early election, remember what she said? All I feel like stupid like Manning to call an early election. That's what she said. Remember that? All I feel like dotish, why stupid like Manning to call early election? But whether she call it early or call it late, her cocktail was already booked. So it didn't make a difference. But she went straight down to the wire. The law said you could take 5 months, 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. She took 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. The last juice she squeezed out. No early election. I taken the full gamut. But anyway, that's Ralph Maraj's excuse for them for not holding internal elections. All right, let them continue. So I see Mr. Gary Griffith the NTA has announced their first candidate who has been screened and selected to contest St. Joseph seat against Terence DLC. Can anybody remind me? Maybe I missed it. Did the NTA put out a statement indicating that nominations were closed for candidates for the general election? Did they indicate that nominations were closed for specific seats? Did they indicate when they would start the screening process? So is it that screening taking place alongside nominations? So if somebody's still contemplating, or let's say nominations are open for candidates for all 41 constituencies, you didn't put a close-off date, right? So somebody might be contemplating and saying, no, I want to offer myself up for the NTA. I'm thinking about St. Joseph. But think about it a little more. I need to consult with my family and so on. I'm almost there. I almost decide. All right. I feel I'm going to throw my hat in the ring. And then you hear yesterday, the NTA put out a statement stating that Gary Griffith, the political leader no less of the party, has been screened. How does that look? They concerned about optics. The first person you screen is the political leader of the party. And nominations still open. What kind of slackness is that? I don't understand that. But these people want to run the country. Again, this is how they run a party, right? Vike. No system in place. No, come on. The PNM is a disciplined party. Things are done a certain way. Nominations are open. You know how we do it. Party groups nominate, the constituency will thing, and the screening process will begin. The screening committee will go from constituency to constituency, and everybody who wants to throw their hat in the ring for that particular constituency will show up on the day in your fancy dandan. The men will come in their 3-piece suit and the women will have a thing, and you present yourself before the screening committee. You make your case, right? Everybody think, and after that, it's full transparency. It's not a closed door thing because you have people who will be sitting down in the room. They had a chair in the middle of the room, and you ask questions by the screening committee and so on. So it's full transparency. Party that will exist in them other parties. That will exist. The executives say, even when the PNM screening, Dr. Rowley is not the first to be screened. Sometimes they screen 15, 16, 20, 25 constituencies before they reach Dr. Rowley constituency. But in the NTA, we screen in the political leader first. Who makes up the screening committee in that party? I have a question. Does the NTA have a constitution? Do they have a constitution? When it is that the political leader could just be naming people at will. Hey, yeah, we're making here a deputy political. Hey, we just want to announce that this person was given this position. It's the same thing with the PEP. 1 minute, Philip Alexander stepped down as the political leader. He's walking away from politics. He's done all that he can. He could do no more. Trinidad and Tobago, when he want to vote on race, and he done and thing and right and hinting at he going to migrate. Next thing, he jumped back in the fray, take back up the position of political leader, and here the 3 deputy political leaders gone. And now he is master of all these surveys, and he calling the shots. I do understand how these people operate. So the NTA has announced that Gary Griffith is their candidate of choice for St. Joseph. And one understands why that was so, because from what I heard last night, he grew up in St. Joseph and he spent a number of years in St. Joseph and so on, and if we believe St. Joseph is ready for change, never mind if he's been living in Maraval for the longest while. But you see these guys as want to be the chess and so on. But if you're so great and the country so love you, why you didn't go up? Why you didn't contest the constituency in which you live in? They go Martin Northeast. Why you didn't go up against Colvin Burt? Since you're so loved and so admired, and any seat that you run in, you will win. Why you didn't go up in Diego Martin Northeast, the constituency in which you live, and challenge because you know your cocktail book? You know that. So you want to try a shot in St. Joseph, which is considered a marginal seat. But they did that deliberately because it appears that Anil Roberts will be the UNC's candidate for St. Joseph. Mr. Roberts has been working that constituency for almost a year now. In fact, his most recent walkabout in St. Joseph took place over the weekend. So he won that seat bad. But if there is to be an accommodation between the UNC and the NTA and other political parties, how is that going to square? How that working? Because if Gary's party has already named him the candidate for St. Joseph, Anil Roberts has been working that seat for the past almost 1 year, as has Jolene John been doing in Laukita Talparo. And I think Mr. Naked want to have a go at it again in Tunapuna. But if they decide that they're coming back together, as Mr. Dayal Singh, when he was questioned yesterday, gave us a few lines from the song Make Up to Break Up. So let's say they make up again and they decide we're coming together to give this thing a second go. How is that going to square? It means either Gary is going to have to step down, which Gary ain't doing. Anil will have to step down. No, he is more likely to. If the leader tell him to do that, he will have to do that. But that will not square well with him because in his mind, he put in all this work in St. Joseph for the last year. But I hope that let it play out as is. Let them give Anil the nod for that seat. And let's see how that will play out. How Anil and Gary going to work. Let's see, because obviously we know that in political war, you had a bad talk your opponent. That's how it is work if you want to win the seat. You have to tell the people why they should vote for you and not vote for your opponent. So if there is no accommodation and it goes Anil, Terence Dayal Singh, Gary Griffith, right? Gary and Anil fighting for the same votes. The diehard PNM supporters, Dayal Singh don't have that in the bag already. So Gary and Anil did not waste their time to go by PNM households to try and forget that. Because as the PNM people don't see Chole, same peas in a pot. So they ain't fooling nobody. So the two of them will be fighting for the same votes. The people who are opposed to the PNM. How that going to help them? But I think that is a very good strategy. Keep it so. And they'll fight hard for that seat. But let your leader know you won that and you could win it. Convince her that you could win that seat. That's one less seat that the PNM has to be concerned about. One less. Mr. Dayal Singh, you just do what it is that you have to do, sir. What you've done for the last couple elections, continue to do that. And let them two man rat fight up for the votes that do support the PNM. Let them fight up for that. You're going to see nastiness. Yeah. We see. Anyway, that should be a very, very interesting matchup. Gary versus Anil. I can't wait to see that. So, I mean, that is. Let me put it this way. St. Joseph is there for the PNM to lose, right? Right now, I can't see how the PNM could lose that seat if that is the matchup. They had to do real poor to lose that seat, right? So, Mr. Dayal Singh has been handed a gift, assuming that he wants to contest the seat again. But based on his utterances yesterday, I assume he wants another go at it. But that should be easy, an easy one for the PNM to win. So the other 4 seats that they need to work on, because the UNC is targeting St. Joseph, Tunapuna, Lauketa Talparo, Sangre Grande, and San Fernando West. That's the 5 that they're hoping to win to take the elections. Right? So as it stands now, based on this development, I would say it's safe to say St. Joseph is in the bag for the PNM. Right? So I don't see how they could mess that up. So it's just the other four. I heard Esmond Ford indicate that he is interested in another term. So we'll see how that goes. And yeah, well, it's up to Faris to do what he has to do. And Roger Monroe, assuming that he is returned as the candidate for him to do what he has to do. And Foster Cummins, well, Foster working that Lahoketa Talparo seat like that. If Foster Cummins lose that seat, I tell you, the people of Lahoketa Talparo are damn ungrateful. Damn ungrateful if Foster Cummins lose that seat. Because he has been doing human service in that seat, working that seat. Right? Working that seat like that. And the kind of delivery that he has brought in that constituency, since he has been the member of parliament, Jilly John couldn't touch that. That's why she had to bring fridge and stove and all kind of thing, because she know representation-wise, set a whole talk and chop it talk, but that's about that. So Lahoketa Talparo should also be in the bag as well. So the PNM should really focus their efforts on Tunapuna. Well, if they put Naked there, chalk and cheese. Should be. Right? They say Esmond Ford is a sweetheart there, but still. San Fernando West. Understand that seat might need a little work. But you could target and put some of your resources in San Fernando West. Right? And Sangre Grande, well, again, based on recent conversations that I've had with Roger Monroe, assuming that he would be the candidate again, he seems to have a plan in place. He has his head on. He has some ideas as to what needs to be done in that seat, but still, it still requires some work, right? And that is one of the constituencies that they need to pump some resources in, especially for the youth. Speaking of the youth, so, let me get this here. So yet again, the government of Trinidad and Tobago continues to deliver for the young people. No, I didn't realize Dr. Oli posted that. It's
very difficult to talk after a line of people who all had your speech.
That's not. Let's see.
So I usually have to come up with a new speech.
Right. Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Keith Christopher Rowley officially launched the Industrial Mechanical Apprenticeship Program, IMAP, at the Heritage Industrial Compound today, Monday, 25th March 2024. IMAP is a strategic social sustainability partnership between the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service and Heritage Petroleum Company Limited. It is aligned with the government's Vision 2030 National Development Strategy, the National Youth Policy of Trinidad and Tobago, and the Social Sustainability Agenda of Heritage Petroleum Company Limited. This 15-month program will allow 50 individuals aged 18 to 35 years old the opportunity to acquire skills in welding, machining, electrical and mechanical works within the oil and gas sector. The program also incorporates a 9-month apprenticeship component designed to enhance employability and nurture entrepreneurial skills tailored towards the energy sector. In his feature address, Dr. Rowley said that the government, through programs such as this, continues to create opportunities for the young people of this country. He said the upskilling of individuals beyond secondary school is just as important as the emphasis placed on the secondary entrance assessment. Dr. Rowley called on the nation to support and encourage young people to enroll in the skills training program. Another one to add to the list of programs that this government has been rolling out for the young people. So that when that poor misguided young guy did that live that I spoke about, in which he indicated all Rowley and the PNM have for the young people, all they offer in the youths, is an agriculture course to go and dig trench in the hot sun. Clearly misinformed. But this is another one launched. Track record. Let's compare how many programs have this administration rolled out for the youth, persons 18 to 35, as opposed to what was offered to them by the predecessors, those who are telling you put us back in office. The only thing they want to boast about, as I heard Jayanti Lakshmi Dayal mention, was they give out laptops. They give out 95,000 laptops in 5 years. The PNM has given out about 78,000 in 3 years. Right? But they give out laptops. They had Hoop for Life. They had Live Sport. They had Color Me Orange. Compare that to this program I just mentioned here. Homestead program. All of the programs that are currently being offered under MIC for the young people. In addition to that, all of the grant programs that the government is rolling out to enable young people who have entrepreneurial desires to start a business. The reopening of the Civilian Conservation Corps, where we see that over the last year or so, close to 1,700 young people have graduated with skills in a variety of different disciplines. One second there, let me just hook this up here. Right. I don't know if the usual UNC trolls are on this morning, the likes of Ricky and Winston. But pound for pound, let us discuss that issue. Kamala still talking about we will create jobs and 55,000 jobs and put us back in office. All the PNM doing is creating entrepreneurs. You have no excuse. Anything that you're interested in, it's like, I don't know if they have a think tank that just sitting on every day and trying to come up with new opportunities for the young people. So if it is, they go out and with the caravan and somebody asks a question, will you have anything, will you have any courses in this? We have any courses in that? No? Fix that. Don't worry, give us a month and we will deal with that. Will you have any courses in this? Wait, we have any course in that? No? All right, don't worry, we're fixing that for you. Give us a month. So all bases are being covered. So you have no excuse. The young people between 18 to 35 have no excuse whatsoever. None. Anything that you're interested in, this administration through the Ministry of Youth Development and the Ministry of Trade and Industry and other ministries, sports, community development, and so on, putting in place. You want to sing, you want to play music, we have that for you too. You want to develop AI, we have that for you too. Anything. So you have no excuse to be sitting on the block and smoking weed. You have no excuse to be doing TikTok video and cussing the government and saying they ain't doing nothing for the youth and nothing for the youth. You have no excuse for that. And the best part about it, you don't have to pay for none of these things. In most cases, the government is giving you a stipend, young man or young woman. They're giving you money to come and learn something. You didn't make it in secondary school, you fall by the wayside. Unfortunately, you were one of those persons who got caught up in the COVID business. Your parents couldn't afford a device for you, and by the time they were able to afford it, you had fallen off the wagon. Come, we had things for you. Come, don't worry yourself. So the parents, they have no excuse. So this propaganda talk that the UNC went, they didn't care about black people and they didn't care about the youth. Rubbish, foolishness. And if it is that these UNC supporters are honest with themselves, I know what's the worst part about it. They cussing the government night and day, but they're sending their children to enroll in all of these programs. They're sending their children to enroll in and still coming out and go, they ain't giving their hand. Yeah, because we expect. Because when the people the youth that looking like me only could do live and TikTok to talk stupidness and take chain up. Take chain up from those who are availing themselves of the programs and then coming and telling everybody this government and care about all everybody. They're wicked. You see what Rolly want to give all you? Rolly want to go and dig dirt in the hot sun. That's what you want to do. And talking that stupidness. And when you plant these seeds in the minds of these young people, it makes room so that the supporters, the children of the supporters of the UNC, it have more space for them. Because the children of the supporters of the PNM taking the chain up. They're not interested in that. So more space. And the government continues to create more programs. Instead of if we make it and we target it towards persons of African descent or persons in PNM constituencies, they will say that it is discrimination. So we will find our way around that. We're creating practically every week, every month, a new program being rolled out. something new being rolled out for the young people. And not just young people alone, no. Not just young people alone, but this government understands, look, if we have to diversify the economy, we cannot wait on the private sector. The private sector has a significant role to play, and they're now starting to come around, but it's still moving too slow. We need to take the lead. And how do we do that? By creating opportunities for citizens to create their own opportunities. So rather than we offering jobs, come and get a government work, right? At 8 to 4, or 9 to 5, or whatever it is, and you're looking for tenure. Government is saying, let us build the economy, build small and micro and medium enterprises. We will help you. We're giving you the money, we're helping you with the facilities, we're giving you the training, we're giving you the technical support, everything that you need to run a successful business. Let Kamla talk about creating jobs and employees and jobs and jobs. Let them focus on that. The PNM buzzword is entrepreneurs, business owners. We creating the business. Yes, you all will need to hire people, but that is not our focus. Our focus is to help you. Because when they say, Rowley only care about the rich, well, Rowley and his administration giving you opportunities to become rich. They're giving you the opportunity as early as 18 years old to be a business owner. So whatever you're interested in, they're telling you, come and talk to us. We will help you to make that a reality. Gone are the days when you leave school, at least under this administration, and you write up your resume and you send it out and you're hoping to get a call back because you're looking for 8 to 4 work. Government says nothing wrong with that. You could do that too, but we have courses as well. While you're working your 8 to 4 or your 9 to 5, we have courses that you could do part-time so you could start your own business. So you could do the hiring instead of you sitting down home waiting to be hired. Nothing wrong with waiting to be hired, but in the meantime, come and learn something so that if it takes too long for you to get hired, hire your damn self. But I'm still talking about jobs and jobs and jobs. All of these programs, you feel you will hear Wade Mark, Julie, and say, I want to use my 45 minutes or 10 minutes of my 45 minutes to talk about this program that the government recently launched to encourage the young people that we're so concerned about. But all they're talking about on property taxes, the poor people gonna suffer. And if you can't pay the property tax, they're gonna take your home and all of that. Wouldn't? Anyway, that's a talk for another time. I'm gonna play Jayanti Lakshmi for you all in the interest of time. Put this thing on. Listen to Jayanti logic. Right, Senator Jayanti.
Dr. Gopi Singh talked about the WGTL project. Development PNM style is making sure that after we borrow that $950 million that we had to pay interest for against the man who was accused of breaching his fiduciary duty to Petrotrin. That is development PNM style, and that's how they spend money.
So she talked there about Malcolm Jones. I have always made the point, I could never understand why the UNC decided to sue Malcolm Jones and not the board of Petrotrin. Because anybody who understands how a board works knows that the chairman doesn't have final say. The board makes a decision. So any decision, the board will take a vote on it, right? I am not aware that Malcolm Jones had any veto power, especially for a project of that magnitude, that gas to liquid plant. And if it is that one were to do the research, I don't have the time this morning. I'll probably do it on another time and read. What was the motive or the rationale behind the gas to liquids plant? And if it had gone the way that it had been envisaged, today we will be making the country would have been making hell of a lot of money, right? The loans that were taken to facilitate that enterprise would have been long would have been paid off by the earnings from that facility. Unfortunately, there are a number of issues, which I will not discuss this morning, which contributed to the failure of the project. But it was a sound project. It was a good project. Theoretically, it was a very good project. And if everything had worked to plan, it would have been a very successful project that would have been contributing to the country's coffers today. Fortunately, it went the other way. But they came in looking for opportunities to sue. So they sued Malcolm Jones, they sued the board of ETech, and whoever else they could have sued. Right? But again, I always ask the question, why did they sue Malcolm Jones? But the hypocrisy of Jayanti Lakshmi to even raise that matter in the parliament. Last night she was schooled good and proper by the Attorney General. She come with her foolishness again and figure she's the best attorney it have. Well, oh boy, Reginald Amor couldn't wait for his turn to speak. And he took her to the floorboards, wiped the floorboard with her face. Shame, she had no response, right? He schooled her in the law and reminded her why he is senior counsel and she is just, well, wherever she is, right? She was reminded of that, why he is who he is. But anyway, the audacity of Janti Lakshmi, this woman so shameless to even raise that matter and talk about you drop the case against the man who had a fiduciary responsibility to Petrotrin and to the country. But she wouldn't mention the fact that the man with whom she works today, Anand Ramlogan, the former Attorney General, the man who was instrumental in bringing that lawsuit against Malcolm Jones, did not provide the two witness statements, the two critical witness statements of the two former Petrotrin board members, Chantak and Batiste, which Malcolm Jones intended to use as a major part of his defense, which witness statements were critical in the arbitration between Petrotrin and WGTL, was it Antigua or St. Lucia, or whichever one it is, which resulted in them losing, right? Petrotrin won that matter. Some of that arbitration, when it is that Mr. Ramlogan decided to seek legal counsel from Russell Martin and Vincent Nelson as to whether or not they should pursue this lawsuit against Malcolm Jones, as to whether or not it makes sense to pursue and the chances of winning. What Jayanti failed to tell us just now was why did Mr. Ramlogan and the Office of the Attorney General not provide the attorneys, Russell Martino, Senior Counsel, and Vincent Nelson, then Queen Counsel, with the particulars of that arbitration matter, that the outcome of that, and two, the witness statements of Chantak and Batiste. Why didn't he do that? Why did he withhold that? Because it was those two critical pieces of information which was presented when they demitted office in 2015 and Faris Al-Rawi became Attorney General, retained the very same legal team that Anand Ramlogan hired, save and except for one Varun Debedin, who handed back the brief because he and Faris couldn't saddle and he went his way. But the rest of the legal team was the same legal team that was hired by Anand Ramlogan, and that was deliberate on the part of Faris. And when it is that these two critical pieces of information, the arbitration outcome between WGTL St. Lucia, I think it is, and Petrotrin, which Petrotrin won in the International Court of Arbitration, and the witness statements of Chantak and Batiste, when those two pieces of information were presented to Mr. Nelson and Mr. Martino, they both agreed that had they been provided with this information, when they were first approached by the state, when Anand Ramlogan was Attorney General, for an opinion as to the possibility of success in bringing a case against Malcolm Jones, they would have advised the state not to proceed. They would have advised the state that based on these two critical pieces of information, it is quite likely that Malcolm Jones would be successful in such litigation, and therefore don't pursue it. Anand Ramlogan is not a stupid man. Anand Ramlogan is a very astute attorney. Might be crooked, but he's astute nonetheless, right? So he, and I mean he is senior counsel, self-given, but he can read and interpret things in the same way. So I suppose he would have read both these pieces of information and would have come to the same conclusion that Mr. Martino and Mr. Nelson eventually came to, having been provided this information by Faris Al-Rawi. So what Jayanti needs to tell us is why the government that she supports, the party that she supports, the leadership that she supports, did not give this information to Mr. Nelson and Mr. Martino. In the words of Mr. Peter Minchell, ask a silly question. It's obvious why they didn't do it. Because we were looking for a big case to give big briefs so that we could get big kickback. So if it is we give this information, because as an attorney at law, if I read this and I know, hey, if I get them this information, that's the day. They will say, nah, don't bother to proceed. So give them just enough so that we can get the outcome we're looking for, the outcome we want, which is what? for them to say, yes, you have a good case here. So we can award a big brief, get a big kickback. Janti, you should be ashamed. But then as you will hear just now, her shame threshold. Right. I continue.
Minister of Foreign Affairs went through certain aspects of what he considers to be the development and the PNM's contribution to the development of this country. So he identified social services and the social safety net. Today we sat here and we listened to the numbers, growing numbers of the homeless population in this country. And I am 100% sure that those numbers do not include the migrant population who are hiding and dodging from the authorities, because most of them were allowed to enter here illegally through the lack of protection of our borders by this government. But they are probably not included in those very high numbers of the homeless population. Every single bank, pharmacy, along, mostly towards the entrance of residential areas that you drive through now, you see persons, mothers with babies in their hand. I was downstairs trying to have a meal and listening, and I heard Senator Lizama Leasing talking about how responsible government and responsible expenditure, and criticizing, and of all the things the senator chose to criticize, she singled out the milk grant given by the Honorable Kamala Prasad-Bissessar to mothers. Well, I have never felt so ashamed in my life that somebody can make, because you know what the senator said? The senator said that we gave a grant to encourage people to make children to access a milk grant.
Wow.
Last week we celebrated International Women's Day and the role of women and how to support women who are also mothers to balance their family life and so on. And to listen to a female senator make such a degrading and demeaning statement about women today is really a disgrace. Because apparently, while talking about some kind of special milk that, she could have bought for her children, she's disparaging people who would want to access a baby milk grant. But you see, they don't understand that not everybody could benefit from a PNM slush fund scholarship. Right? But there are some people who never benefited from those kinds of benefits, right? But what they are trying to do is ensure proper nutrition for the government, and real development is focusing on the development of babies in the first year of their life. Because real development is making sure that they are healthier, because then you relieve the burden on the primary healthcare system going forward. Everybody in the whole world knows that. That is why there's so much focus on infant mortality. The World Health Organization will tell you 45% of infant deaths is as a result of poor nutrition. And Kamala Prasad-Bissessar, not just because she's intelligent, but because she also has empathy, would have introduced a social safety net type measure like a milk grant. And they have the audacity to come here today after cutting grants left, right, and center to identify that grant of all the ones that you can identify.
And them children go pass the exam. They wouldn't fail.
Right. The minister.
Give a man a fish, teach a man to fish. UNC policy, development. Give a man a fish. Every month, give him a few fishes, just enough for him to get by. Don't teach him to fish. That's what she's saying there, basically. She's never felt so ashamed in her life. Well, your shame threshold must be very low, right? She never felt so ashamed before in her life that they would criticize Kamala Prasad-Bissessar for the fact that a group of grown folks sat down in a room and came up with the idea of a baby grant and didn't think, knowing the mindset of some people in this country. They said, well, I get pregnant, well, don't worry, you'll get the baby grant. The government have money, you'll get money from the state. Never mind the fact you have 3, 4, 5 children that you can't mind. They get pregnant again, it wasn't intended it happened. You'll get baby grant, don't worry. This government, as I mentioned before, have plenty grants. Not of that nature. Right? Not the type where you sit down whole month and waiting. What did the granters come by? You went and checked the bank, it reached yet? It reached yet? It reach yet? Night reach yet. That's all you're doing. They're taking long this month by milk, the little milk area almost finished, the pampas almost finished. What we gonna do? How long again, my? That is development UNC style. That is their idea of grants. Right? Meanwhile, the PNM saying, hey, you're a farmer, you have a piece of land, come, we're giving you a grant of $100,000 to develop your farming business. Yes, $100,000. Not $500 a month, not $1,000 a month. Come and get a one-time grant of $100,000 to build your business. And come and get the training and support too to make sure that you put that $100,000 to proper use. PNM saying that. So Jayanti never occurred to her, well, instead of just giving $500 a month to buy milk, but let us say that they had one office in 2015. Were you going to increase that? You would have increased it by what, $250? So you would have go to $750 because inflation now. Or maybe it would have stayed at $500 because, under the People's Partnership, well, now let me stop saying People's Partnership. Under the UNC, inflation freeze. The price of food stays the same. Under the UNC, it don't move. Because listening to them under Keith Rowley, the cost of living going up when you go to the grocery is pressure. You can't buy food. But I guess under them, the cost of milk and pampers would have remained the same from 2010. And 2024, if they were still in office, it would have been the same in 2024 as it was in 2010. So we wouldn't need to give no increase. Because prices will only go up under Keith Rowley. Rowley do that. Yes, Rowley is responsible for that. Never mind the fact that in the US and in big supermarket chains like Walmart, whereas in Trinidad here, you could go and walk in the grocery and pick up your milk off the shelf and baby milk and go and buy it and pay for it. In the US, you have to say, excuse, I could get that in here. And they have limits on how much you could get in Walmart, no less, right? You have to call for one of the attendants to come with a key to open a cage, to take out an honey and close it back. You can't just walk and, like in Trinidad, pick it up off the shelf, put it in your trolley and go and pay for it. Yeah, but things real bad here, no? Things real bad here. In the great US of A, where they want to convince you everything good. You had to, excuse, hello, I could get 2 tins here, please. Instead of offering grants that could improve the lot. Instead of offering the baby grant, why didn't offer something for the child father to get a proper job? Or to become a business owner, to start his own business. Maybe he's a mason, maybe he's a carpenter, maybe he's good at woodwork, probably joinery or something, right? But he's working for other people. Why didn't offer him a grant so that he could start his own plumbing business? Or offer him a grant that he could start his own air conditioning business because maybe he have a little job working, fixing AC and so on, and he's good at his craft. But he doesn't have the money because the little money that he making, he made some bad choices in life, possibly. Who knows? And maybe he has a big family to take care of. So he's struggling to make ends meet, living paycheck to paycheck now. So he can't really save nothing to start his own business. Maybe on the side, he might do a little something so somebody knows he's involved in air conditioning and refrigeration and so on. And he's come on side and he will help you out. Why didn't offer him a grant to start his own business, as this administration is doing? You're a plumber? Hey, you're working for somebody? Come, we're giving you money to start your own plumbing business. Instead of riding the poo-poo truck and you pumping out you're going and pumping out cesspit every day for somebody else. You have some skill, you want to purchase a truck? Sister, come, we'll help you with that too. What are your unique skills? What are you interested in? Come, we'll help you. We're talking about grant. We don't want just sit down home all day, sit down on the block smoking weed and only running by the bank every to check a card to see if the money reach. That is what they promoting. That's what Janti promoting. Check a card every minute, every day. The money reach yet? No. Instead of you being certain that it have money in the bank. I'd rather wait until the 28th of the month or the 1st of the month or the 2nd of the month for the government to put money on a card. There's money in the bank because the government gave me a grant to start my own business, which is now expanding and doing well. That's what the PNM say. But according to Janti, how dare Laurel Azamal Leasing criticize Kamala Prasad Bisesa for giving handouts instead of handout, as the PNM is doing today. I saw someone post there in the chat on Facebook just now that Minister Cummings would have mentioned a number of the other programs that the government. I need to reach out to Foster again and inquire into that. Shucks, as I said that I'm a matter for love for somebody I haven't seen. All right, we'll deal with it. We will deal with it because I haven't gotten now. Anyway, the person knows what I'm talking about. But go again.
So that is development for them, not tackling poor nutrition in infants, so that you can tackle the scourge of NCDs and so on later on in life and save money in the health center, but criticizing Kamala Prasad Bisasa for a milk grant. He mentioned digitalization. Development for them is removing access to digital technology from children who you should be training from the age of 11 years and making sure there's equity. That is a concept that they don't understand, They don't understand the concept that development is for everybody. They think development is only for friend, family, and financiers. They don't realize that every child in every rural community in Trinidad and Tobago who could have gotten a laptop in their hand at 11 years old when they wrote SCA and went into secondary school, that is how you do development, and that's how you do it properly. You don't wait for COVID to come, shut down all the schools, and then have thousands of children with no access to online learning. That is not development. Right? They talked about what?
So give thousands of students laptops, but they have no access to internet. Some of these children living in very rural communities, they don't have access to electricity, so the only time they could charge a laptop is when they go to school. They have no internet at home, so this loo that they sold, that's why they could use the laptop at home and they could teach the children and the others, the young ones at home, the brothers and sisters at home who are not old enough yet to qualify for a laptop, and maybe they could show their parents how to use it. Did you give them a Wi-Fi device? No, but you give them a laptop that they could only use in school. When they get to school to access the internet, or if they're fortunate to be living close to somewhere where there is internet access. But that making sense. And you give everybody across the body and study, well, this thing really and truly should be means tested, because we don't want to be giving laptops to people who don't need it. So you go into the so-called prestige schools, and they give out laptop to everybody. Never mind the fact that some of these children have iPad, MacBook, Samsung tablets, all of these things at home, iMac, laptop, all them things they have home. They don't need it. I always make the point, my niece and nephew, their father lives in the US. Send them all them things. They had iPad, both of them had that. They had MacBook, because when he buy things, he send them for his children to buy. They didn't need these devices. They didn't need it, so they give it back. Yeah, the school, but we don't need it. So the mother said, well, here what? It don't make sense at all. They're depriving somebody else of this thing because all you have no use for it. Give it back. But them may study that. Give everybody. So we give out 95,000 laptops. How many of those students really needed it? And where was the practicality of use? You give them laptops, but you say, but it was never incorporated into the syllabus. So there was no practical use in the classroom for the laptop. So if a child was using the laptop while the teacher teaching, clearly the child not paying attention because the teacher has not been facilitated with anything to incorporate the use of the laptop in practical use in the classroom. It was never part of the syllabus. Today, the PNM is not only giving laptops to the students, but they're giving it to the teachers too. 78,000 distributed, right? She's talking about COVID and whatnot. Anybody, any of you listening here have one of those laptops in your home that's still functioning? Is it still functioning? How long? Anyway, let's go again.
Oh, youth development. Oh
Listen
boy. Well, the youth development plan that they have come up with
Listen to this. This is what I really wanted to.
The explosion of school violence is to take the children and put them in Milat. There's evidence all over the world that those type of military-led interventions do not work, and that more children actually turn out to get involved in criminal activity and so on when they are forced into programs like that. But that is their idea of youth development. And then, of course, housing. Well, boy, housing.
There's evidence all over the world that when you put students into these military-led programs, that they actually end up in a life of crime. Evidence. Janti Lakshmidiyal is an attorney, so she knows about evidence. Yet still, she didn't bring one shred of evidence to support that. I keep it live friendly. To support that BS that she just talked there, right? Or evidence all over the world that when you put students in these programs. Janti, how many of the young people that you represented, or that Anand Ramlogan represented, Janti, passed through the Milat? How many young people that you represented in court passed through Milat and say, you know why I end up in a life of crime? It's because they put me in Milat. I spent 2 years in Milat, 3 years in Milat. And when I finished, after getting all of that training and discipline, I decided to become a criminal. What utter... This woman has hopes of being a minister. This woman has hopes of being a minister. And come in and talk that is even more foolish than if it is you deny these young people bail. If you deny these guys bail, you will be creating single parent home. I wonder if Janti Lakshmidiyal goes back and looks at these things and says to herself, well done. You talk good there, you talk something good. Where is the evidence of that? I am absolutely certain that if they were to do a study, I am certain probably not one person who passed through Milat ended up in a life of crime. Because the level of discipline for you to be getting up every morning, sometimes if I have cause to leave home very early, you see these young folks and them in their red jersey and black pants running up the highway from Mausika there, running all the way up to La Hoqueta and stuff to run back. Early in the morning at the crack of dawn, sometimes after 5, it's still dark out and you see them running. That discipline. You know what discipline it takes for you to get off your bed as a young person at that hour? Young people don't like to get up early. So you to get off your bed that early hour to be jogging all the way up the highway to where however far they reach and then to come back down in time for breakfast or whatever it is, or whatever is the daily routine. And you're being taught, you're getting your, even if it is you might have fallen out of the school system, you're getting your passes and so on. There are so many success stories. I have never read anywhere it says, well, the person was known to the police and the person was a graduate of Milat, my part. But Janti Lakshmidiyal will come in the Senate and talk that garbage, that rubbish, foolishness, and talking about have evidence all over the world. What evidence? All you're always calling for data. When the government asks you all to support things like the bail amendment bill and the administration of justice bill and all of these different things, we want data. When they ask you all to the gang bill, we want data. All you always want data. Show us the data. Well, where is your data, Janti? Where is your data to prove the foolishness that you just talked there? That persons, that evidence all over the world is that the majority of people who go through these programs end up in a life of crime. Something had to be wrong with you, because Milat isn't a 2-week program. It isn't a 2-month program, right? It's not a 6-month program. For my understanding, it's at least 2 years. So you tell me you inside there, every day you're being drilled by army personnel and other personnel in discipline and so on, in that environment. And then after all of that, so you so hard-headed, you so obstinate that you could withstand 2 years of training and come out and decide where you have an opportunity after you finish, you go through all of that. You survive the program. You get your passes and all of that. You learn all of this discipline and so on. You're exposed to persons from the Coast Guard, the Army, the Defense Force, the regiment, the police, whoever else, fire and whatnot. And when you finish, you have an opportunity to jump into or to become a member of any of these entities. And you decide, nah, after 2 years or 2.5 years or 3 years of study and exposure to this rigid discipline, I don't want to join the Coast Guard. I don't want to get a job that probably starting with a starting salary of 9,000 or 10,000. I want to go and become a criminal. I want to go and rob people. I want to go and kill people. Yeah, that's what I want to do.
Development to me is 100 houses a week being delivered and people getting keys in their hand. Development. And I want to acknowledge the efforts of Senator Jolene John, who executed those projects with impeccable efficiency. Right? Impeccable efficiency. That is UNC development. You know what is PNM development in the housing sector? Terrestrial. $100 million project stalled because defects. They boasted that they were going to get the contractor to fix it. They're going to enforce all of the provisions under the contract. No, afterwards, when they had to start refunding people their deposits because they cannot occupy the houses, they backpedal now and say the HDC will now have to explore their legal options, but they're going to try to fix it. And you know what is the biggest part of that development under the PNM? The contractor responsible for the defective work and the defunct project at Terrestrial continues to get contracts under the Ministry of Works and Transport. So the Minister of Works, who outlined how he planned to spend the $10 billion, apparently a good portion of that might very well end up in the pocket of the same person who refuses to remedy all of the defects in the $100 million stalled HDC housing project, whereas this government boasts about development in the housing sector. So, Mr. President, just
boasting about 100 houses a week. Yeah? 100 houses a week. Who built those houses? Your shame, well, anyway, your shame threshold we already established is in the pits. To be coming in the Senate and boasting about all they gave out 100 houses a week. Could have been 150 houses a week. If you all didn't abandon UNC development, abandoned so many housing developments that had been started under the Manning administration, that when they came in 2010, a lot of these housing developments were like 90 and 95% complete. I always reference Napoyo Court at the back of the Larry Gomes Stadium there. When they came in 2010, that was one of the projects that was, in terms of the units that were there, were almost complete. It was fenced around, galvanized fencing, and so on. They abandoned that. And soon, the galvanized fencing went. And when the pipers and the vandals realized, well, they ain't really doing nothing, can we take the fence? And let me see what else. So they started to invade the units and they're taking the fixtures and so on, the sink, the whatnot, the toilet bowl, or whatever they had inside there, they clean it out. The doors, everything gone. All they left was the bare shell. For 5 years, 3 months, and 14 days. Right? Napoyo Court is in the constituency of Dabadi Umera, of which Anil Roberts was the member of parliament for 4 years. For 4 years. Anil Roberts' office, constituency office, was a stone's throw, just a little way lower down on Umera Road from Napoyo Court. Right? Opposite Napoyo Court, or just a little higher up, the other side of Larry Gomes, they have a housing development inside it. That one was complete and units had been distributed. So when he was walking the constituency, he was well aware of Napoyo Court. He was well aware, right? Sided. In fact, many of the people who worked with him when he was campaigning for the W. Mera seat in the 2010 election were the beneficiaries of multiple housing units. I could see that. Because when I contested the local election in 2013 under the ILP, one of the guys who had worked with him, he's deceased today, who had worked with Anil Roberts, had 2 housing units in the same compound. 2 housing units. Explain that to me, right? 2 very nice townhouses in that compound. He said, tell me, yeah, the boss gave me that, you know. I said, the boss give you 2? Yes. This man, bye. But if only I really understand the kind of thing went on under these people, the things that I heard when I campaigned, things I would do. Every evening, this man, when I go out to work, this man walking with me, I went, come on, boss, I could get 20 to buy a little something, I could get a little 20. I'm hungry, you know. I think, you hungry, but you have 2 HDC units and you hungry? Every afternoon, you ask me for $20, you want to buy a little something, you want to go and buy a little punching. You want a nip, you want to, yeah, boss, yeah, I think you can let me have 40. Tuesday, you know, ain't nothing for the day. And you have 2 HDC units, 2 townhouses, and that, for those of you who know that area there, the dual carriageway, just before you reach the traffic light. And he wasn't the only one, He wasn't the only one. That the boss reward them for working with him because they know the constituency, so they carrying him in all of the little hole and all of the nook and cranny for him to get the votes that he needed to win the seat. And he rewarded them after. Yes. All these things they used to be telling me. There are plenty more things that I heard from these guys who was working with him. Some of them at the time were working in his office. But they're looking for a little kakada, a little something extra. Yeah, boss, we working today. Even if I ain't feel to walk, they calling me, boss, we working today. So I know they feeling it today. Go, come out now, boss. Come, let me go and work now. Let me go on. Yeah, because they know at the end of the work, I could get 20. Boss, help me out now. Every day. Right? So you give out housing units there, but just across the road, Napoyo Court, nothing. They left that abandoned. Right? Took this administration when they came into office to restart the project. So they had to find extra money now to fix the damages that were done because they chose to abandon that project. So when they want to come and chastise the government for how much money or they spend and money or they borrow and where the money went into things like that. They shouldn't have had to come now to spend money to repair these units, to put in fixtures that they left in 2010. They shouldn't have had to do that. But they had to find money to do that, for repairs that they should not have had to do if it is you all had been a responsible government. To finish these units, give it out, and also construct new units. Go down to Napoyo Court now and see how developed it is. I think most, if not all, of the units inside there have been distributed. Right? Most, if not all. Real Spring and Valsayn, Kadat, Beaufort and St. James. You have people, big shots, would give an arm and a leg to get a unit in Beaufort for that view up on the hill in the back by the Western Cemetery there. And I think inside there is mainly reserved for persons in the police service, the defense force, and the like. The family the fire that took place in Rokrinook a couple of years ago where the 3 young children died, I know the government had assigned one of those units inside there to the survivors, the husband and wife and the surviving children. Very nice, up in the back there. They abandoned that too, right? But you want to come and talk about 100 houses a week and that is UNC development? You proud to boast that you all gave out 100 houses a week that was built by the Manning administration? That was a fault of the Manning administration. They were building, but they weren't giving it out as fast as they built. Unfortunately, and gave you all a fillip when you came in to be able to bump all your gum. But what did you all offer the people? People of East Port of Spain come buy these dilapidated units for $100. But meanwhile, increase the income ceiling for an HDC house from 25,000 to 45,000, so your friends, family, and financiers could now qualify for HDC homes, which are supposed to be low-income housing. When Mr. Manning built Victoria Keys, so that the same poor people that all you and low-income earners that you also care about today, so that they could have a sea view, that they could walk out on their balcony in the evening and relax and watch the water taxi and watch the ferry come in and go in and watch the cruise ship as they leave in or as it coming in. They could have their coffee with a nice sea view like the people who live in Westmoorings and in Goodwood Park and so on. You all deprive these people of that. You come and you take Victoria Keys and convert it into an upscale apartment complex, put in swimming pool and gym and covered parking and all of these different things. Space that could have been used to probably put another building or two to create additional housing while they create covered parking. All of that. Penthouse, $4 million penthouse and all of that. For who? Which low-income earner could afford that? That is why you increase the ceiling to 45,000 so that these people, the doctor and the liar and all of them from the UNC could afford these units. And in some cases, they afford it not to occupy, to buy it, to rent it out. Mr. Manning intended that for the average Joe. But when they came into office and he said, nah, that's too good for them. That's too good for them. You see that view? How you could get that to poor people? You're crazy. What's going on in Manning head? Manning is a madman. We need to fix that. We have people who want that. How much money we could make renting 2, 3, 4 that? That is development UNC style. And this administration came in now, they had to take it over. Of course, today you have a number of units there that are still vacant. Still vacant. Well, because I know my sister who died a couple of years ago, that was the last place that she lived. So when I used to go visit her and so on, Yeah, see, on her floor, and in fact, on her floor, they probably just had 2 people living on her floor, her and one other person. All the other units were empty, available for sale. The state had to put it up on the open market. Had to put it on the open market. When it is that those units should have been occupied by the average Joe, the UNC say that now they're too good. That's too good for you. We can't put poor people there. Can't put poor people there. What we'll do, we give all your buy all your units for $100. Fool the people, fool the people, fool the people. That's what they were about. And still wanted today, come and fool the people. Should be ashamed. I always say in that party, there are no shame. All the dogs in that party suffering from malnutrition. There are no shame to eat. None. Listening to Giant. Every time Giant touch me, they'll talk at his gaps. Every bloody time. The amount of nonsense this woman has talk. Always putting on a show for Kamala Prasad Bisesa. And then you have these other clowns around her and clapping. Right? Talking about development P&M style. Development UNC style is we want to know the $789 million in ghost houses that Camille Robinson you spoke about in the budget last year. Gianty, 6 months ago. Tell Julene talk about that. She was in charge of HTC then. We want to hear about that. Tell Munilal, your boy, we want to know about the $789 million. You're coming to talk about $100 million in Trust Trail. The same Trust Trail that he told us it had houses ready for occupation when they left office in 2015. But all it had was a load of sand, a load of gravel and tobacco when the media went there. Tell us about the $789 million, where it gone. Maybe Jolene could assist the $180 million loan from NLCB, what that money was for. That is what we want to know. Since that is development UNC style, help us find the $789 million. But all the supporters ain't going to talk that. Oh, we want the $100 million from AB Jolene, $100 million fake oil, but $789 million in fake house. They ain't interested in that. No, they're not interested in that. But put them back. Put them back so you could get more of that. That making sense. And there's one more thing I wanted to touch on, right? But I'm looking at the interest of time and I had to jump up by 9 o'clock. Fali Augustine and the TPP, right? I see the boy JB Harper. They have a page, a Facebook page called Tobago People's Party, whatever. Right? So it's a closed page. You have to click on the invite, whoever it is. They're posting a lot of things about what's happening in Tobago, Trevor James and whatnot and stuff. I have a question because there's of course the talk about the 2 Tobago seats, and I think NACTA had put out some poll with respect to that and so on. So I see the TPP is now in election mode and they having meetings and the like. Never mind the fact they're struggling to get a crowd and trying all kind of things and angles and so on to make it seem like they have a big crowd. But okay, it is Tobago different. I have a question, right? You already recall a few months ago, Fali indicated that the TPP, when in the final stages of finalizing their constitution, the party's constitution, he said that they were putting the final touches on it, and then they have a battery of senior attorneys who would review it, right? A battery of senior attorneys who would review their constitution. Which means up to that point, they had no constitution. And we've heard nothing further as to that exercise, whether or not it was completed or so on. And I asked the question that I used to ask when they were under the PDP. Does the TPP have a bank account? Because I know, having been a part of the executive of a political party, in order to open a bank account, you're required to have a constitution. And you need to have certain office holders like the chairman, the treasurer, the general secretary, and all of these different things, right? Signatories and whatnot. To open a bank account. So if they don't have a constitution, they can't open the bank account. So how are you paying for the battery of lawyers to review the constitution? How are you paying for that battery of lawyers? Senior attorneys, huh? How are you paying for that? Again, I ask the question, where the money coming from? The membership? How the membership paying? They're writing check? They can't write no check because if they make check out to the TPP, you can't cash that because the TPP don't have a bank account. So who are you making the checks out to? Trevor James? Fali? Or you all paying in cash? Because remember, Fali had hit us the one cocoa, this full basket. When they were asked where they got the money from for the launch of the PDP in the Magdalena Grande, this cost over $500,000. And Farley come and tell me one cocoa he and Faith, and the rest of them. Watson didn't say that. Two of them say that. Right? The membership, given little bit, chirrup, and it added up to $500,000. And then afterwards, we found out that was a damn blasted lie. When Watson came and admitted that he take his pension money from the PSA to pay for that. So we already know from very early that Farley is a damn liar. Right? Cannot be trusted, cannot be believed. So I'm asking, does the TPP, I don't know if JB Harper listening, but I have a question. Does the TPP have a bank account? Because if they're preparing for a general election, right? They need money. Where the money coming from? Where is the accountability? Where are the checks and balances to make sure that they are above board? I still want to know how they pay this battery of senior attorneys according to Farley to review the constitution. And a battery, you say one or two, a battery of senior attorneys. You don't have a constitution. Is the party even registered with the EBC? And let us assume that it is registered. Who are the executive members of the party? You see, people, we don't ask these questions. When I was asking those questions when I was on that radio station about the PDP, and a man used to call in every day and tell me I in mischief and all of that, and I created mischief. And I said, and who is the chairman, who is the... He tell me, I go call you back, I have the list, I won't call you back. Never call back to tell me, give me the information, but we know he too was lying, because it was subsequent to that we heard that they appointed people to these various positions. But concerns must be raised. How is the TPP being funded? If they don't have a constitution, they cannot open a bank account. So is it that checks are being made to individuals in the party? That cannot be right. Where is the accountability? Because if you're doing that, how can you be certain that the money is going to go where it's supposed to go for the benefit of the party and people in pocketing money? Or that THA's money is being used to fund the TPP? But then asking this question, and that's why I'm saying, PDP followed by the TPP has taken Tobago to an all-time low. Tobago always used to hold its head high. That when it comes to morality, that they were ahead of Trinidad, right? They held to a different and a higher standard. But those standards have been significantly lowered based on the current leadership of the THA, and as Farley like to say, the government in Tobago. But we're not asking these questions, right? We just going full steam ahead. We're hearing all kind of allegations about contractors from Trinidad, kickbacks and so on, and we're just dismissing it because that is PNM mischief. But when it is that the evidence is there to suggest, and questions should be asked, well, you have a bank account, right? Is this party registered? Have you finalized your constitution? How did you pay for these things? Because we know you like to lie when it comes to funding for the party. You all have established yourselves as liars. We can't trust Farley, we can't trust Faith, and the rest of them too, who hit with that same one cocoa, those full basket. But we're going to talk more about that on another day, right? 7701763. We also had to talk Wasa. I ain't had time this morning to talk Wasa. That needs a whole show by itself. But the water racket that we heard about running down somewhere down south that the minister spoke about and how he's going to treat with that. And the retrenchment exercise. And then I'm waiting for the hypocrisy of the UNC. Let them come with that foolishness. So let me get this here. Have the material lined up waiting for them. Give me 1 second. I'm trying to get this thing to connect. Let's try that again. So, great. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Bill.
Morning.
They can't talk about Wasa because people who mention Wasa and got more with higher salary. So that keeps us cheaper. The thing people forget, we are not senile and we are very sober. We do drink punch around, or Grey Goose, or with alcohol. Gianty, I suggest you go and see what your friend Wheeler did. 100 million is far less than the $700+ million. How you became a lawyer if you cannot count? Your party is one of hypocrisy, double standards, lies, and slander. You are grasping at straws to get a seat on the cameras right now. It will all have to fight like dogs in a dustbin for a grain of rice from Kamala. That one, Kamala is a dictator. She's the Jim Jones of the burger world. You will drink her poison while she laughs at you. They're not perfect, no, they're not. But at least they're open. All right, you want to give me Dominic $5 to make a child, right? Per month.
Yes.
Right? 6,000 per year. What are you going to do for me? Pampers, milk. Okay? For a month, you breastfeed. You have to get Pampers, when you get older, baby food, and the market to buy things for them as they grow. And procure, right? The milk. What you will do after the money runs out? Take a next child, one and belly, one and arm. So tell people what is worth, what you're doing for the PNM, doing for the future for children. Right, they're building homes, okay? They said you want to house per week. You have no job. Why pay the mortgage? Why pay the rent? PNM doing a homestead, 1. Skill sets, 2. That means you and your son.
Why people do not want to pay property tax? Why they don't want to be assessed? And you know what is my thing about it? The government is starting with residential tax, right? But to come is business and industrial. There is more revenue going to be coming in. And if you're starting with 2% for the residential customers, let's say the same rate is applied to business and industrial. There is not more revenue that is coming into the coffers that could lead to the kind of development that foolish woman talking about yesterday.
Yes.
You know, I watched the debate yesterday, and it was nice, the contribution from Minister Gopi School in direct answer to the points raised by Senator, the independent senator, who tried to reference the rate of the Caribbean. And when Mrs. Gopi School gave us the figures of Miami-Dade, Dominica, please, you are quite familiar with, where the tax is $21,000 a month in property tax at their rate, and their rate is based on the capital value.
Yes.
And she was right to point out that people who have properties over there who live here paying that willingly without a fee. You understand? And this woman talking about the development. Come on, and we must take them on, right? You know, it's sad that Mr. Gonzalez didn't refer to the fire in Wasa in 2014 when all the records were destroyed while he was given his little dissertation. The same Gangasing, as you rightly point out, who was the chairman of Wasa, came back as minister and rehired people. And the same Gangasing was the man who oversaw the removal of the backfill from the wastewater treatment site. In fact, I had a friend who was working Wasa, and he said, when he thinks Gangasing would have done as minister, was to have his family members buy dump trucks to transport the material, and people were getting as much as 5,000 a load. Be moving that. You understand? Some of them were making 10 trips a day, and that was going on up until the general election. People don't understand the amount of wanton corruption that went on in that last week before general election 2015 and they want to come here and tell us a lot of foolishness. You understand? But I know the reason why Charlie couldn't bring out the constitution, you know. Because it's two political grand godfathers passed away. That is the heavy ruler and Mr. Reginald Dumas.
Right.
So without the support of these two heavyweights, is nothing, is flop in the wind. You understand? So you can't go nowhere. So and if the senior attorney is talking about Christine Moore and Mr. George, I'll laugh in the face of danger. If that is the senior lawyer be talking about. One thing talking about people like Crystal Gift and Russell Martino with the TPP constitution, my brother. With it. Like the wind in the willows with two driving the nice car down the road with the goggles on.
Yeah.
You understand? That's how he'll be looking. Waste our time with them, brother. But I see more people jump out to support Paré, but you understand? And I heard somebody read something from Michelle. Yeah. They're throwing on the gauntlet, boy, because they're really saying, is the end of the group. It's the end of the group. But what's sad to me is in the intervening period that these people now have been members of parliament, is how their constituents will have suffered because they were in opposition communities. And I want to tell you, by saying this, what is the Prime Minister open down in Santa Florida yesterday with an intake of 50 people starting next month for a year? And they'll be getting a stipend dump, and then they'll also have the opportunity for 9 months of work either in the private sector or in the public sector.
Yes.
Wow, and nothing going on, right? And I think El Dorado Girls supposed to come on stream like September with its first cohort to go through a 2-year program for the young ladies. And nothing happening. I'm on it, buddy. You try and light a fire with your good self under the PNM social media person who beat you up for the post. And let the good news go forth.
Yes.
Understand? Let the good news go forth, my brother. But keep it up, and we just have to keep hitting them with the truth over the head. That's all. Take care.
Thank you, sir. Jenny.
Hi, morning, Dominic.
Morning.
Morning to all those who truly love the facts and stubborn things. Dominic, you see the same social media that the UNC has used in such a negative and abusive way, spreading lies and propaganda. It will become their Achilles heel. I'll tell you why, because they forget and because they lie so much that the footprint is out there. So they could be fact-checked anytime. And all the lies are surfacing and they don't have anything to treat it other than just to lie and continue lying and digging a deeper pit. So we have to continue with the work. I know there's a ground troop, an official ground troop of social media officers working day and night to make sure that the truth is out there. We are out there and we're doing the work. It's not just your face, Ms. Davey, Ms. Felix, Google, and all the other presenters. We have those who are actually on social media who will jump into comments and spread the truth or put on the page or tag other people telling the truth. There's a whole liquid out there. And it's a very exciting and interesting thing to see. So I don't be too concerned, again, with saying anything about the PNM communication machine working. I don't have time with that again. Because talking that over and over is like doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So I'm not going to talk about that. We're doing the work and we'll continue doing the work. With regards to Gianti and they don't have nothing, as I say. So they're going to come with all these kind of things to distract you. They're going to come with paper waving with no evidence and data to support what they say. And again, because we will keep drumming at it and people will start to question them and ask them, show me the data, which party says that? And they're on the back foot right now, you know. And this fight between them, unlike Dr. Devan Maraj, nothing, when he was interviewed yesterday, basically saying he don't believe that the UNC is falling apart. He would have said something that is very interesting. He said right now, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and they already put people in what ministries they will get when they win, and put people on board. So they don't have them who will be minister this, minister that. They're looking at 25 seats. So they're busy putting people in an imaginary state of mind what ministry they will get. That is why, in my opinion, they will support Kamla Prasad Bisesa against Parry, because he can offer them that. And you see that delusional thinking is what will be the demise of the UNC. Because the UNC has changed its name about 7 times. So you can't tell me there's no steady party. From the days of Badis, Sarah Maraj, come right down. It was PDP, DLP, SDLP, ULF, Club 88, UNC, PP, back to UNC. They're not steady at all. And as Dr. Vishnu Bishram said from Guyana, well, Indians in politics and leadership, it's not about making good legislation for the people. It's about kickback, first class travel, party, cocktail party, contract of friends and family, nepotism, cronyism, and all that. He said that. And they haven't come out against him and say what he's saying is wrong. He said they may have economic power, but they lack political power because it's not about the people when in office. And we see that with the UNC. It was never about policies. They had 29 seats. They could have gone, as Makila Pandey say, they're talking about ask the tax and don't pay the tax, all that. They could have changed the tax laws, done away with property tax. They didn't need the PNM to come in parliament with them. PNM only at 12. Why they never change it? A lot of the laws they're talking about now, when they had 29 seats in the 5 years, 3 months and 14 days they take, they could have changed any legislation. They could have bring any legislation. They didn't need the PNM. But they didn't do that because they were too caught up, according to Makandal Davaris' soul, spending money like if it's the right to spend it, and thieving like it's the right to thief it, and like if they invented. And as for Roger had an effigy for one of those Good Fridays with Kamla Prasad Bisesa, with rum bottle all by she foot. He said that she, I'm paraphrasing, she would have sabotaged them from getting the refinery when they were bidding faith. He said all that. He said she's a liar. She went to the parliament where down in the waterfront when he was planning this big march, and she scoffed at him and spoke about when he was a senior manager or worker down at Trinma, and how an accident happened with a worker, and he bribed the worker to stay silent, and they cover it up at OWT, and he ended up losing his job in Trinma, and he ended up working in OWT. All that talk. So he said on there with she today, the same woman who he says a liar, who sabotaged them, who he stood to the PNM when he said they're supporting the PNM against the UNC because of what the UNC doing to Fishfield. And he's saying, don't they know next to shit? That's why he looking dejected, rejected. And he looks as if he really eats vomit or his mouth skin up. But I want to say before I go to the liberties, you're talking about a crap on I-95 point yesterday, FM yesterday. Apparently, from your conversation, like you didn't know that Wasa was remodernizing. And talking about how the workers now who turn on the TV just to hear managers going home, and they don't know if it's them going home. You know what I'm saying today is a damn blasted liar. All you knew, you was a manager at Wasa before you come in PSA. You was a consultant at PSA. You was the head of the Wasa PSA section in Wasa. How come you didn't know you was in HR? Look at how much documents show 20, 21, 22 that this is happening, the remodernization of Wasa. PSA took under you, PSA took Wasa and Marvin Gonzalez, minister, to court to study remodernization of Wasa. So how you telling you lost them case? So you telling we roll now. Not only that, tell we if you didn't meet with the minister last year as the PSA president to talk about the same issue and only wanted time to work out packages and all that. Early liberties and study workers. If you wasn't meeting with Wasa workers all the time in PSA, building, talking about the Wasa and the modernization. And you're talking about criminal, the government is criminal and they're brutish, and how the people might get mental thing when they see that. But let me tell you something, liberties use the criminal for leading Wasa workers astray, for making them believe that you could stop a government from rebranding or remodernizing or restructuring or retrenching workers in a government agency. You lie to the workers, and every time you want people to come out to march, you make them put on jersey, come out marching in the road, and you know you can't help them. I want to ask you, who it is they make sure they're permanent in Wasa? While the workers fighting and don't know what's happening because PSA representing them, who it is you will make sure you get permanent in Wasa? Was it only workers and them one contract? I just asking, Wasa workers, anybody who is a criminal, anybody who is brutish, anybody who making all have some mental challenges now is Leroy Batiste, because he knew, Duke knew, and they did nothing. They had enough time to sit down with any management in Wasa, make sure they work out the best packages for the workers at Wasa, so that when they leave or when they retrench, they have something comfortable to continue or do a business or retrain. Why in the 2 years all they waiting? You didn't encourage Wasa workers to look at the new restructuring of the Wasa, see what kind of jobs they're offering, and go and retool themselves. They could have done have a degree, they could have a certificate in something, they could have a diploma in something, but no, you had them marching up and down. And today, you send out Felicia Thomas and modernization to try to cover up, or they can cover up this at all. Wasa workers will turn on you, Leroy Batiste, for what you and Felicia Thomas and all they do to them in the PSA. Or they did not represent them properly, or they was not proper didn't give them proper representation. So let Wasa workers watch you, not the government. The government out at this time. Or they had enough time to put Wasa house and workers in order. And when they didn't do that, inside PSA with an alleged salary of $50,000, your meal every day is alleged $500, you're driving the best car, you're just spending PSA money, you don't want to have physical meeting with PSA members, you train them on virtual meeting, you take out from the agenda other matters. So when you don't talk, guys, and you want to talk about dictator and criminal, you is the criminal this morning, Leroy Batiste. Thank you, Dominic, for allowing me this opportunity.
Thank you, Jen. Brian, morning.
Morning, Dominic.
Greetings.
How are you?
I am good, sir.
Nice. Dominic, when I heard Mrs. Lakshmidial Ramdial say what she said in the parliament, I looked to the heavens. I'll tell you why. The plethora of things that the Ministry of Youth and National Service has brought out to assist to build entrepreneurs and to assist the youth, all that dead if the results of the 2025 election should go in another direction. And when I say dead, I mean dead. Because if she could say that about my lad, without empirical evidence, these people come and they just lie. They just lie for lying's sake, to fool who I really don't want to see. And I hope the youth, when they get in the private moments, could look back at these people lying about their ambitions to better themselves and for this government attempting to better the youth of Trinidad and Tobago, to remove them away from the firearms and killing out of themselves, the killing fields that are being created. And when I listen to an attorney who fixes herself, you understand? Because she moved from Orchard Gardens in Chaguanas and living down in Gulf City. So she knows about improvement and bettering oneself. She knows about that. But when I hear government attempting to do things for those who may have gone awry during secondary school and giving them another opportunity to better themselves with all of these programs, and she's saying that that is a waste of time, but then I know that if the elections don't go in a particular direction, all those programs are dead. All, at all, not one, all dead. Because they don't care about the youth. They care about themselves and their pockets and bettering themselves and their families. They don't care about the youth of Trinidad and Tobago. They don't care about this country. Imagine that. I was so ashamed. When I heard that last night. So ashamed. But it is what it is. And we have to understand it. People, I always ask you all to go and listen to the parliamentary channels. And while it may sicken you, listen to these opposition members, how they speak with a sense of pure bitterness in their heart against the people of Trinidad and Tobago and the youth. And they don't say they love and they care about. Come Ilbert in his wrap-up with this property tax to put all and sundry to rest about all what we've been hearing. He said, listen, 77% of the persons who will be paying property tax will be paying no more than about $1,600 a year, which is about $133 a month. 77% of the paying person who will be paying property tax. Higher than that is those who are rich and will pay more. But 60% will be paying $1,000 per year or less. And it kept going down. In other words, 3/4 of the property persons in Trinidad who will be paying property tax will be paying less, Dominic, less than $154 a month, Dominic, and it goes down to $26. And you ask the question, you are telling me people are concerned about paying $26 a month for the property? You know, to see the potholes, to see the trees that might be overgrowing in their yards pruned properly, to see all of these things being done, that when you call Wasa, that same Wasa to come and see what water and storage, when you call the cooperation, that they can make things happen, to clear your pit, to set pit, and all of these other things that matter. Really? Wait, if we really go at $26 a month for the lowest income people, for the smallest houses and the oldest houses, you can pay $26 a month. And this is what he was talking about. So when I heard that, I said, nah, man, we have to be joking in this country. That we can't even act. And what we, and as one of your callers said, it was compared around the world. And the kind of money you have to pay for property tax around the world. Mr. Chance even alluded to what is happening in Singapore and these other places where they're increasing property tax just like that. It was a crying shame to listen to that last night. I mean, it was really, really painful.
But I want to say this to the youth who listen down in South, deep South. Back in the day, in Texaco days, they had an apprenticeship system where many of the youth, including my father, started out as like an office boy. And then he got into the apprenticeship system and he learned trade, he learned to be a rigger and so on, and he moved up. And he moved to Texaco. You understand? It is something similar to be happening down in Deep South. You will have an opportunity to learn a skill. And once you enhance that skill and you become good at it, Heritage will look at you for permanent employment or continue to develop you. And you will be getting good payment, you're getting a stipend to start, you'll be able to come there according to the Honorable Prime Minister and be able to move up. You will have an opportunity to build yourself and build your character and help to put food on your table. You're going to get an opportunity, and if you want to go up on your own, at least you will have documented evidence and then listen, I can be an electrician, I can be a pumper, a mechanic, whatever you so require you want to be, but at least you will have a fighting chance to enter an apprenticeship system. In IMAP, and the Minister of Youth also indicated that there will be further brand new things coming out in the near future. Look out for it. He said so last night. Well, I certainly knew that to say. So there are more things coming out, but this IMAP is fantastic for those, especially those in South, who know that they have very little to do. Take every opportunity. They're starting up at 50 people, 50 youth. When you go and apply, start, make an effort. So the government is going from agriculture straight into technology, straight into oil and gas. They have almost encountered every type of business that you can activity you can get yourself into. They've covered almost all that I could really think of. Nobody has any excuse now that they cannot go as better themselves. This is what you have to look at. Go as better yourself. Make something of yourself while you're young and you're big, not idle, and you can think and all your lips are flexible and you can move and you can be a better person in this life and contribute to not only yourself but contribute to your country. Stop listening to people who don't want to assist you, because this is your opportunity to get something out of nothing that the UNC has to offer you. Dominic, this morning, I had Ruston Parry being interviewed on TV6. And eventually he was asked, I'm moving quickly, he was asked a particular question. So do you want to be opposition leader? When he beat around me, but eventually he said yes.
Your voice going down a little bit, Brian.
Hello?
Your voice going down a little bit.
I'm sorry, hearing me now?
Yes.
Right. Eventually, Ruston Parry said yes. That he is interested in the leadership of the party. So all the beat around the bush would be beating around the bush. He is interested. But you see, just the other day, Dominic, Gary was the man.
Yeah.
Honorable Prime Minister, humble yourself. Gary know about crime, know all here. Remember the little imps from Princess Town? Gary is the man. We can't have no meeting with you unless Gary there. Remember that? And everybody running with him. Oh, Gary's the man, boy. Yeah, boy. Gary, boy. Gary know what to do. Gary could stop crime. And Gary on stage and working with the UNC and local government and we will change things in this country and I. Today, hey, I go in up for St. Joseph. Just the other day, he was going to fight the Honorable Prime Minister in Tego Martin West and show him who is man. Remember? Yes, he was going to fight Dr. Rowley in Tego Martin West and show him who is man. That he has 89% popularity. But 89% of 5 is 4 point something. People must understand that. Today now, he live in Marava, where he living. And he going to St. Joseph because he grew up there. Why are you going there? because it's a marginal seat. He believes he can win. Well, I wait to see whether or not this unity that they're talking about, if Anil ain't gonna put up himself, or if he going somewhere else, after he done walk and walk and walk out, you will choose the other day. You're going to see just a matter of time. And a statement made by Rushton Parry, not by Rushton Parry, by Anita Haynes Allen. She said will do well for the party not to postpone elections because you got in there on elections to be leader. So you can't want to occupy the space and want to defer the same election that got you where you are today in leadership. It was good for you then. Why is it not good for you today? But you see, they're talking about they have a constitution according to Weidman, but they have no constitution because they could do what you want with the constitution and don't have no price to pay. But the constitution with respect to the government, they could only go as far as 5 years, 3 months and 14 days, and then they must call election. But they could do anything they want and get away with it and fool the people. But time longer than twice. And we can see what's happening with them. Dominic, there's more to say, but have a good day.
You too, sir. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Dominic.
Morning.
I want to keep it honest. Anytime you see the king people back and forward, you see that's how it is. Stamp the minister, all the posts. Wherever you turn it. And then it. And then this, whatever, yes.
Thank you. Hello, good morning.
Morning, Mr. Ruben.
Morning, sir.
How are you doing?
I am good.
I know it's once again the clock is close to 9 o'clock, so I'll be very brief.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say I want to touch on the favorite topic for this morning, the property tax. But before I do so, I just want to endorse what you said about the business of housing in particular. And I want to rub that in. What I want to rub in is the fact that this government, this present PNM government, did what is so important for the ordinary, the low income, and the middle income family by reducing the income ceiling from $45,000 to $25,000, nearly 50%. That is critical because when the income ceiling is $45,000, you will attract people of a higher income. And those people in the lower income families will not receive the priority of housing that they require. And so with this government policy to reduce the income ceiling to $25,000, they are focusing on the people who are in need, people who cannot afford. And that is the original focus of the housing program for government, to assist those who cannot help themselves to that extent. And I'm glad that the government went back to that. So I want to endorse that fully. And I want to thank the government for that subtraining ceremony they had in Cora, where they're going to provide 100 townhouses, units. And those people will benefit from that new policy, where that income ceiling is $25,000. And now, just to go on to the property tax, I want to fully endorse what Brian said. I'm going to put it very simply. More than 3/4 of the owners of residence in this country will be paying $3 per day in property tax. That's so simple. Just about $3 a day in property tax. When you compare that with your other bills that you pay, you recognize that is so critical because your land and property is what is the basis for your generational wealth. That is what you pass on from one generation to the next. All the other things you buy, like the car and all of them, they, over time, their value decreases over time. But in most instances, your land and property appreciate as it gets older. So that is what you can transfer to generational wealth. So if you're paying $3 a day to protect that and to ensure that that is intact, I think that is good business. I think that is very good business. So I want to again recommend that we do not allow those people, that 25% of persons who will have to face questions of how they got their wealth, explain their wealth. And that is what they not allow them to use us, the smaller people, as guinea pigs, so that we'll follow them and put up a block against property tax. And finally, let me say there's a reason, in my view, why the government decided to start with residential. Because there are 400,000 registered residential properties in the country. Let me say that again, approximately 400,000 residential properties in the country. And that presents a ready source of income so that we can pass that money on to local government so that they can do things better for us. Let me say that again, 400,000 residential properties, and these properties, now that the property tax that we receive from them will go straight on to the corporation. The bill has been passed so that the property tax will not go to the consolidated fund. It will go directly to the corporation, and the corporation will have the responsibility to improve the quality of your life. Thank you very much for the time, Dominic.
Thank you, sir. Yes, indeedy. So it is 9:04, folks. Thank you all so much for joining me. I just wanted to mention one thing. As Mr. Chance raised the issue of the, what was it, Brian? The property tax and what the minister would have indicated in terms of sums to be paid. Let me just take this last one quickly. Hello, good morning. Hello?
Hi, good day. Calling from Ramsburg for Dominic Roman.
Yeah, to call me back.
Okay, no problem. We'll do. Around after lunch?
Yes.
Okay, will do. Thank you. Okay, bye.
Yeah, so I went to Price Mart yesterday, yesterday afternoon, and so they have this promotion running where they're trying to get persons to upgrade to the platinum plan. So there's a diamond member, which is $45 US a year, up from I think it was $39 US, and then it went up to $45. And the catch that they're using, to kind of pacify people as well. You're entitled to 2 cards, so you have 2 persons on the card and whatnot and stuff. And that was around for a little bit. So now they're trying to get people to convert from the diamond membership to the platinum, which is double the cost. So it's $90 US a year. But with the platinum, they say you get 2% cash back on your purchases. And so I walk into the store, and they're right by the door, and they're trying to get you. So the woman says, excuse, so any platinum upgrade today? I said, no. So I'm about to proceed, and there's a lady in front of me. She just signed up for it, right? So she did the conversion. So she said, you should take a listen, it did worth it. I said, okay, I'll take a listen. So I'm listening, and the woman is telling me. So she pulls up on the system, and she tells me how much money I would have spent over the last 12 months in Price Mart, and that would have given me a cash back of about $500 if I had the platinum membership and all of that. And if you sign up today, it will cost me an additional $218, which I'd be required to pay today, and then they will give me a gift card for $160. So when you really check it, you're only paying it just works out a difference of $58. Not that I'm plugging for them, right? I said, let me think about it, because the figure that she gave me for the amount of money that was spent on Price Mart is not really me, because it's 2 cards I have. So the person who has the other card is the one who does most of the shopping there, right? I just go Price Mart maybe once in a while to get the cranberry grape juice and 1 or 2 other things. But what surprised me, because when I do the math, So at 90 US a year, which is what you're paying for the platinum, multiplied by roughly 7, right? You're looking at about $630 a year. And we have, with the reduction in the property tax rate from 3% to 2%, you have some people who will actually be paying less, paying 600 and something, or even less in property tax. So we complain, I can't afford that. But while I'm there in the line waiting to pay, I was amazed at the amount of people who went to sign up to convert from diamond member to platinum to pay 90 US a year, right? For the privilege to give price match your money, the privilege to shop in price match. And some of these same people would be complaining about the property tax and the government wicked, and I can't pay $17 more for electricity for the month when they see they come and they increase the electricity rates and $17, and in some cases, the same people who complain have no problems paying double for a price mart membership. Some of them probably might even go to price mart 2 or 3 times for the year. You see, people pay for what they consider is important to them. They will spend the money on that without complaint. Because I stand in the line and I just look and let me see how many people taking up this offer. And from people coming in who they told about it and they sign up one time, to people who went and shop and they come back and they see them with the bill, the receipt or whatever it is, they went and they pay and they come back to show the young lady local company the payment and whatnot, so I can give them a gift card. So they give you something, an incentive to sign up now to do the switch. And you think, well, we are saving county really paying $50 right now, can I get my gift card? Yeah, but going forward, every year you have to pay this 90 US. And it means that if they decide next year they want to increase the cost of the platinum membership to 100 US. When next you come to upgrade, when next you come to renew, you had to pay the 100 US. And these are the things that people are not thinking about. So all of that went through my mind. I said, I'll think about it and I'll let you all know. But I said, I don't really go to price mart that often. So when I heard the minister last night in the budget, the debate in the Senate about the property tax, and the issue of affirmative resolution and negative resolution with respect to the ability of the minister to decide what the property tax rate is going to be in the future. And, the argument of the opposition, they have a concern about that because the minister could just increase the rate to 4% and 5% and 7%. But you all are advocating to bring back the old land and building taxes where the rate was 7.5%. And if it is that you do bring it back, because the tax roll has been updated and property valuations have been done, and Larry Hawaii admitted that you need to update the property valuations, it means we're not going back to 1920 rates. But there is no talk from the UNC who's saying, well, we support bringing back the old land and building tax. But you're not talking about what rate, what would be the rate, what would be the tax rate. Because if you bring it back with the updated property values, it means people will be paying 7.5% property tax instead of 2%. But the men and women of letters and the bright people not discussing that. They ain't raising that issue, They ain't telling the population that. All who take in chain up, we want back the old land and building tax, and we want back, just remember the old rates have been done away with. So there's nothing the UNC could do about that. Right? There's the updated rates, and that's what. How I admitted that. But I just wanted to show people will go and line up and willing to pay 90 US for the year. And if the rate go up, price man has the wherewithal to increase the rate just the same way as they increase the diamond membership from $39 to $45, just so. And if it is you want to continue to shop in their facility, you have to pay the 45 US or sold. Right? In the same way, when you pay 90 US now to upgrade, so you're paying double, you're telling you're going to get some cash back or whatever it is, and you're taken in by that. But then you had to pay, if it increased it to $100, $105, you had to pay that. Without argument, or you just stop shop there. Without complaint. And they will just go, pull out the card, and they will upgrade, pay the 100 US or whatever it is, and they're good to go. And what I tell you again, 2% cash back. But you don't want to pay the same 90 US or less to see an improvement in the collection of garbage, to see an improvement in cleaning of your drains, that if there's a little pothole in the road in your neighborhood, and it's a inconvenience, that you could go to the council and let them know, well, look, I paid my property tax, or I need to fix this. All of these things, the improved services that you're gonna get from local government. Now, me wanna pay that. You think I can't pay $600 for the year, but you could go price smart and you will pay 90 US without complaint, without let or hindrance. Because they tell you you're gonna get a 2% cash back. Priorities. Folks, thank you all so much for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your day. Have a very productive one. I saw somebody just now. I want to do some research on property tax rates around, especially in places that they like to talk about Singapore and stuff. But let me just take this a chance here. I don't know if that was a missed call or unintentional. Mr. Chance, if you call him back, you could go ahead. Somebody had mentioned that if the government could consider some of these services, the programs that they have in the Ministry of Youth Development and National Service for the Youth, if they could make these available for some of the young persons who may be incarcerated, like in YTC and stuff. And I think that is a very good idea, because some of them may be in there for minor infractions and will come out eventually. And if they could find a way to have these young people, because I mean, they have programs inside there for them, so that if they could do that, that would be an excellent thing. So that when some of these young people come out from these facilities, that they would have a skill that they could go to, rather than what the UNC was proposing some years ago. Every time a prisoner come out, get them $5,000 when they come out of prison. So you come out, you get 5,000. You commit a crime, go back in, come out and get 5,000. Mr. Chance.
Yeah, boss. Listen, I forgot to mention to you that I'm hearing all the discussion about Mr. Parry and all the others. Mm-hmm. But I want to make it crystal clear. And I understand that you have some people UNC choose this unit program as well.
Yes.
But I want to make it crystal clear that I, Neville Roy Chance, give Ms. Kamla Prasad Bisesa my full support as political leader of the UNC. And I'll tell her why after this 2025 general election. Okay? She has my full support. I'm not in any discussion there. Kamla Prasad Bisesa, I want you to remain as political leader of the UNC. I just thought I would say that on your program so that they will take the message back. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. I too endorse that endorsement. Yes, I endorse Kamla Prasad Bisesa for political leader of the UNC wholeheartedly. She has my full support as political leader of the UNC. And I hope she stays there forever and ever until Clark and Batu Obudu is ready for her. Right? Stay right there. Don't move. You stay right there. Agnes Mondesi says there should be jail time for willfully lying in the parliament. Yes, Kurt Shaw mentioned that. I think that would be an excellent idea to offer these programs to these young persons as well, an opportunity for them to make a turnaround when they come out, rather than the issue of recidivism and them returning to a life of crime. Yeah, so I'll inquire into that and see whether or not some of these, if what is possible, or if that is on the cards as well. So folks, thanks again for joining me this morning. Always a pleasure, and God willing, we will chat again on Thursday. And so I see several persons are endorsing Mr. Chance's endorsement of Kamla Prasad Bisesa for leadership of the UNC. We need guarantees that the tax will not be diverted to other things. Winston Bachelor is saying we need guarantees that the tax will not be diverted to other things. The tax is supposed to go to the regional corporations, right? The law, that is what it states in the law, that it is the regional corporations who are responsible for collecting tax monies, and therefore it is up to the corporations. Yeah? So the corporations have that responsibility Mr. Bachelor. So you need to ensure we know how the UNC corporations operate, right? But one of the benefits of local government reform is that with the property tax coming into force and working side by side, it strengthens your ability to demand the things that you may not be getting now. Because when it is now, if it is your road have a pothole or they didn't collect the garbage or it have a open lot of land that needs to be cut or some derelict vehicle or whatever it is, and you go to the council say, well, you know, we have no money and the corporation have money for that and whatnot. No, you could demand, no, I don't want to hear that. We are paying property taxes and you all have additional monies. You are required to fix these things. Don't tell me nothing about all you have money and you're waiting on allocations from central government and you're waiting on allocations from the Ministry of Local Government. The monies are coming directly to you guys. All you don't have to wait for the property tax money. It doesn't go to the consolidated fund and then it comes from there, goes through the Ministry of Finance, then to be paid to the Ministry of Rural Development and Local Government, then to be paid to the corporation. The money comes directly to you all, so you all have control of it from day one. So you have no excuse to come and say, we're waiting on releases and the ministry ain't give us the money yet and we only get a portion of our nonsense. If this is how much it's supposed to be and we know people pay the taxes and only have the money, fix the road. Cut the grass. Pay the contractor to come and pick up the garbage. Don't tell me nothing about your waiting. You have no releases, all you're getting money, people paying their taxes. Right? So, but I am certain that they would be required to give account as to how this money is being spent. But we will discuss more of that on Thursday or over the weekend. Yeah, folks. So to all of you guys, have a great day as well. Joycelyn Small White, Melka Rock, Donna Andal, to Jocelyn, Angela, Marcel Figaro. Hi, Angela. Janet Lewis Reed, Sonia Edwards, all of you guys, Annette McConney, Marlon Blaze. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Roxanne. PF Cutters. Blessings to all of you and have a good day.